Yo, what is going on, you guys? So today I'm bringing guys a brand new sports cards video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about sports card shows and what I see happening right now that is totally changing the landscape of sports card shows and in fact bringing an incredible upward trajectory in terms of where sports card shows are going in the future. I know I had made a video a month or so ago about how sports card shows were really dying and how a lot of dealers were not able to turn a profit, leading to a lot of dealers not wanting to travel the country and set up at shows anymore, which is, of course, sports card shows are an incredibly important part of the hobby. A lot of new people enter into the sports card industry through going to shows. And it's just such a great way to connect with people in the hobby. So it's super important. And I'm going to be talking about some incredible things that are happening right now that is really helping sports card shows continue to move forward and grow. So most recently, my team and I went to the Burbank Sports Card Show. We set up with a table, and combined between me and my two partners, we moved over 100 packs/cards. So we sold over 100 things to people walking the show floor, which has been one of the strongest shows we've ever gone to. Now, of course, a lot of other dealers had similar things happen where they were just getting bought out. Their tables were getting bought out. By the time Sunday came around, the show was on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. By the time Sunday came around, most people were hardly left with much inventory. Most of their inventory was either sold or traded away or whatever it was, but they did not have that inventory anymore. And so it was an incredibly great sign. There was so much money finally being moved around the room. Of course, a lot of the smaller stuff was moving more than the more high-ticket items. I think the high-ticket items were a little bit slower. I would say around $3,000+ cards are still a little bit tough to move in this current environment. However, stuff below $3,000 was moving like this. A lot of bulk buyers who were coming through tables and just saying, I want these 30 cards. What's your best price? And I know a lot of people are buying it a little bit higher percentages. In the past, as of a month ago or 2 months ago, you had seen dealers buying cards for as low as 60% of comps because the market kept going down. The market kept sliding. So they didn't have as much room to play with. If they had, bought at 80%, the next comp could come down 20% and boom, you bought at full comp at that point. So with comps finally starting to either flatline or in some cases even go back up, there's a lot of dealers who are willing to buy again at 80%, which is great for people walking the show. But the main thing I wanted to talk about in this video, and I want to give incredibly big props to Burbank because they were the ones who figured this out. And they were the ones who were able to kind of crack this code and allow it to be such a successful show, is that the Burbank Sports Cards people, Ryan and the Card Father and all those guys, all the employees were essentially, they had a big booth set up at the front of the show, and they were buying almost every single card that walked by them. So if you walked into the show with cards, you stopped by their booth, you waited in their line, they were pretty much going to buy your cards. And that provided a lot of people who walked into the show with cards and not much cash. Those people were able to get cash for their cards, and that provided a lot of liquidity. And a lot of dealers did a lot better because the people who walked into the show with cards now had a lot of cash on them because they sold their cards to Burbank themselves, and now they could use that cash to buy cards from dealers. So that is such an incredibly important aspect of sports card shows. It's just liquidity. How much cash is in the room? How much are people willing to spend at dealer booths? And if dealers are able to sell at a high clip, then dealers are willing to pay for more tables. They're willing to travel to more shows. Shows become more worth it for dealers. And when there's a lot of dealers setting up and traveling the country, sports cards continue to boom. A lot of people continue to come to shows, and shows continue to grow. And that's what we've really seen since 2021 has been, a lot of shows get bigger and bigger. The first Burbank show was in a tiny little room that was absolutely packed, and now they've got a big old convention center space. There was so many people that came by. I know the space was so big, so it didn't look as crowded as the first one, but I presume there were more people at this the second Burbank show than there was at the first one. The only thing was it was a much bigger space and much more well planned out. So I would definitely say, the key to having a successful sports card show is having happy dealers, and that helps grow sports card shows in the future, because without dealers spending money to buy those tables, sports card shows are not able to go down, because sports card shows need the money to fund big, renting out these big convention centers, providing food and drinks for people, all that different type of things. They need sports card dealers to be able to buy the tables from them so that they're able to actually run the shows, promote the shows, hire staff to run the shows. So the whole thing runs down to whether dealers are willing to pay for the tables or not. And, Burbank was full of hundreds of tables. Dealers who walked out very happy were able to really make their money back from the, dealer tables that they were able to buy. Just the overall expenses with traveling to shows. It could be hotels, different things like that. But it became so worth it for dealers that I do believe that the next Burbank show that comes around in August, all these dealers are willing to buy back tables, and that just helps. And on top of Burbank shows, just all shows in general, dealers are more willing to buy out tables. So I think that's a big important thing, and I give massive props to Burbank for buying out people's cards. Of course, they have a big sports card shop where they're able to sell the cards. I know a lot of other guys who host sports card shows do not have a shop where they could just liquidate what they bought, but props to Burbank for doing that, because they made the show just an all-around incredible atmosphere in terms of buying, selling, trading. A lot of big names came out to the show. It was just overall an incredible show that leads me to kind of come up with what I personally feel about sports card shows right now. A couple months ago, I'll be honest, dealers were not really making money. Even when I was showing up to deal at sports card shows, it wasn't really worth it, as opposed to selling cards online, right? Why pay hundreds of dollars for a hotel, for a, booth, for all that type of stuff when you could just sell stuff online? For example, on my slabs for 1% seller fees. So there's a lot of different alternatives, but sports card shows are pretty much the best way to get deals done in person. A lot of people who fly out to shows, who come out to shows, it's such an incredible experience that they want to make deals happen, right? Because they're at the show. So many deals that can go through, and I'm so glad to see that there's finally starting to be a lot more money in the room at these sports card shows. I've heard not only Burbank, but a lot of the other bigger shows that are going on right now, such as Dallas, are also seeing, a big boost in just demand, for dealer booths and just people walking the show. So I think there's a lot more people who are willing to come back out to sports card shows. And I think in the future, as long as, sports card, the people who host the sports card shows, right, sports card show hosts, are able to market their shows properly, I see an incredible opportunity in terms of business standpoint for people to host these shows. If dealers are so hungry to get out to more shows, so let me know in the comment section below what shows you guys are going out to next. Make sure to subscribe. We're on our way to 50K, and let us know, if you guys are liking the content, what content you guys want to see in the future. But other than that, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I'm out. Peace.